tased a man nearly a dozen times. They call it sadistic, potentially criminal.
Pulled down a handcuffed man's shorts and tased him in the groin.
Tasering a man nearly a dozen times.
The officer involved is still on the force.
Welcome back to the LackLuster channel. On July 27th of 2017, Officer Matt Schneider and Mark Lindsay claimed that they witnessed a turn signal violation at a Motel 6 in Glendale, Arizona, and initiated a traffic stop. But security footage found after the incident showed that it would have been impossible for the officers to have seen the vehicle make the turn, as they were located in the back alley. This lie would mark the first of many violations of the family's civil rights. Upon approaching the vehicle, Officer Schneider asks the passenger, Johnny Wheatcraft, for his ID.
You guys got your IDs on you real quick? All of you? Hey, when you turn in here, man, just make sure you throw your turn signal on for us.
After mentioning the infraction that didn't happen, the officer tries again for the occupants' IDs.
Nobody has their ID on them? No. Anything with your name on it? Yeah, just grab it out real quick.
Officer Lindsay now asks for Johnny's driver's license. He tells the officer that he doesn't have a license, but that he has a state ID.
You don't have a driver's license? I don't. Do you have a driver's license? I have my ID.
As Officer Schneider radios in the license plate, Johnny opens his bag to retrieve his ID.
Don't reach in your bag, man.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
You said you don't have no ID. I don't want you reaching in there. What's your name?
Why am I even being asked?
Well, you don't have ID, and then we made a. Yeah, if you're a passenger in a vehicle, you need to have your ID.
Why is that? I have an ID. I don't have to give it to you. I mean, I didn't do anything wrong.
Okay, well, I could take you down to the station and fingerprint you.
Arizona law requires a driver who is subject to a lawful traffic stop to produce their driver's license. It also requires that anyone detained with reasonable suspicion of committing a criminal offense to give their true full name. It does not, however, require the passenger of a vehicle that is properly seatbelted, as was Johnny, to provide their identification. Schneider now opens the vehicle to remove Johnny.
Listen, we could do this one of two ways.
Okay, relax for a minute, please.
No, I'm gonna relax. Listen to me. We're gonna.
I don't have nothing.
Johnny begins to exit the vehicle as the open door suggests the officer was extracting him. In response, Schneider draws his taser, and though Johnny never gave indications that he would fight, the officer puts him in a pain compliance hold, tangling his body up in the seatbelt.
Are you gonna fight or not?
No, I'm not. But
Okay.
I promise you I didn't step
We're
on
gonna do this.
Okay.
Okay,
And
I
don't
just
have to
watched
give
you.
my ID. No, you didn't, sir.
You. Okay.
Ow,
Listen.
Stop, oh,
He's
please,
gonna
man.
fight, dude.
No, I'm not, bro. Ow, please
Just
stop.
wait.
I'm not fighting.
Relax.
Okay, babe, I'm not.
One officer pulls on Johnny while the other tases him. His body's reaction to the drive stun tangles him up in the seatbelt even more. And for the next few minutes, the officers try to pull Johnny out of the vehicle, but the seatbelt, now wrapped around his legs, was holding him inside. But instead of removing the seatbelt, they tase Johnny until his son climbs to the front seat and removes the belt for the officers. More officers arrive on scene, and without realizing that the only ones committing any crime was their fellow officers, they jump in to help arrest Johnny. It was 108 degrees outside that day, and as Johnny was forced face down into the hot asphalt, Officer Schneider kicked him in the groin. He then pulled down his shorts to tase him a final time in his private area in front of his family. And despite the presence of several other officers, not a single good cop stepped forward to stop the abuse. Afterwards, Officer Lindsay laughs about the incident and never mentions the alleged blinker violation.
What happened?
We were pulling into the Motel 6 parking lot from the north through the main area. We saw a vehicle pull in. They made contact or saw us and did an immediate reverse and backed up into a spot. So their suspicious activity prompted us to go out and at least try to have a conversation.
In total, Johnny was tased 11 times and kicked between the legs twice. He was not provided medical care.
Mr. Wheatcraft was then wrongfully charged with aggravated assault with a deadly weapon against the Glendale police officer and resisting arrest with physical force. He was then wrongfully detained in the Maricopa County Jail for approximately 2 months before the criminal charges against him were dismissed as a result of the prosecutor's motion to dismiss the case.
It took over a year for Internal Affairs to complete their investigation, concluding that Johnny was not resisting and that the amount of force used against the suspect was unreasonable. What the Assistant Chief of Police failed to mention is that Johnny wasn't a suspect. He had committed no crime and was not legally required to produce identification, and the driver had not committed a traffic infraction, which means that Officer Schneider was essentially beating an innocent bystander. The investigation never mentions that the officer lied to other officers.
The fight was on, he started kicking at us. From the seat, he started kicking at us.
Or his lies about Johnny not wearing a seatbelt. Officer Schneider was suspended for just 3 days and returned to duty as though nothing ever happened, as the department withheld the footage from the public eye for almost 2 years. Schneider also starred as the face of Glendale Police on the television show Cops, in an episode that aired just a month after the incident.
Hispanic male subject riding his bicycle. He crossed over to the east side of the roadway and began riding his bike, which would have been southbound in the northbound travel lanes.
The Maricopa County Attorney's Office refused to prosecute the officer, nor was he added to the Brady list. Nearly 2 years after the incident, the body cam footage was made public, and the FBI launched an investigation, asking the county attorney to take a better look at state charges. And now, as the incident became public, the department finally made a public statement, which repeatedly states that Johnny resisted, though the internal investigation a year prior shows that the department's own investigator determined that the subject was compliant and didn't resist. The statement never mentions that the stop was unlawful. It never mentions that Officer Schneider's threat that a passenger had to identify was incorrect. It never mentioned that the entire incident was an egregious violation of the family's civil rights, or to the extent that they mercilessly beat and tased Johnny for no reason. The conclusion of their public statement reads, quote, "The Glendale Police Department is dedicated to remaining transparent with the community that we serve, and public safety is the top priority." With their claim to remain transparent, the only video the department included was this 30-second clip of the encounter from the motel security camera, positioned just far enough away to make details of Johnny's assault unclear. No one from the city or Glendale Police Department was brave enough or confident enough to put their name on that statement. And now, with the FBI investigation, came Schneider's resignation. But just before he forfeited his license, he retired under a confidential accidental disability claim. He now collects a pension and benefits. Almost 4 years after the incident, a new county attorney was elected. She declared a conflict, as Officer Schneider coached her sons. The case was sent to the Attorney General's office, who finally filed criminal charges against Officer Schneider for aggravated assault because Johnny was bound and restrained. The Glendale Police Department issued a statement that read, "The city will fully cooperate with any requests made by the Attorney General's office. The Glendale Police Department works tirelessly to maintain the respect of the community they serve." And eventually, Johnny filed a lawsuit.
Our law firm has filed suit in federal district court, and the case is expected to go to trial. You know, Glendale has shown absolutely no interest in trying to resolve this case whatsoever. They had an opportunity to resolve it early on, but basically they chose to do nothing and mostly ignore us on the case. And so whatever offers we've put out there have been withdrawn. Our position right now is that the jury will decide what the value of this case is worth.
And finally, in October of 2022, after over 5 years, the parties have settled. The settlement agreement is confidential, and now the department's only response is, quote, "We will have no further comment on this case now or in the future." And currently, the only thing left is the disgraced ex-officer Matt Schneider's criminal trial, which is set for sometime in 2023. Thanks for watching. If you have a video, use the submit link in the description or pinned comment. If you enjoyed this one, subscribe and hit the bell for future content, and check out our other channels, Lady LackLuster and The Odd Side. Remember to like, share, and leave a comment about what you think of this interaction. It's the easiest way for you to help expose corruption and misconduct. Merchandise is available using the links below. Join the LackLuster family for just $1 if you'd like to further support the channel. Get a Lack logo next to your name, custom emotes, and early access to videos. I look forward to seeing you in the next one. All links are down below.